Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Y'all good? Y'all good? I'm good too. I'm good. So my name is Joseph Blackman, right? You guys like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Can you turn me down a little bit? So yeah, we're here. I'm sharing my story, just my little journey. I'm from Pittsburgh, California. Anybody from Pittsburgh, California? Yeah, we're in Pittsburgh. Where's everybody else from? Oakland. Antioch, I see y'all. All right, so Dublin? I live in Brentwood. Shout out to Brentwood. So I just wanted to share a little about what I've done and what I've been through and how I got to where I'm at now. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, California, went to Pittsburgh High School. I got a football scholarship, went to South Dakota State University, played for 5 years, and now I'm back in Pittsburgh, California. I was raised in the church. Anybody that was raised in the church, raise your hand. All right, so it's a whole nother dynamic, right? Like my dad's a pastor. My pastor's Anthony E. Blackman. He's a pastor of this church here. I watched him grow his ministry from a storefront, no bigger than this whole platform up here, to what we have now. And I know it takes persistence, it takes dedication. You're gonna get knocked down. You got to get back up. You guys probably heard that before. But a little bit about myself. It's easy to do what the world does, but that's the route that the world wants you to take, and that's not the right route. Of course, college is college, but your college experience doesn't have to be like everybody else's. Is everybody here in high school pretty much? High school? Okay, well, all right. So high school for me, I'm a Christian, born and raised in the church, gave my life to God, and I've been under the anointing of Faith Worship Center Ministries all my life. So when I was in high school, I was kind of the odd kid out, right? I was the kid like, little black, he ain't gonna go to that party, little black don't smoke, he don't drink, he don't do nothing like that. But it took me until probably my sophomore year in college to actually own up to it. Because when we're Christians, they kind of look at you like, you're cool, but we can't really do certain stuff around you, or, let's not call him because he's not going to be super down for the team. We're down with what we're doing. But, and it's hard to put your foot down and say, hey, like, this is me, this is who you're around, so if you want to be around me, this is what I come along with. Like, I'm going to be at church on every Sunday, every Wednesday. If someone's going on at the church, I'm going to be there. Like, that's what I do. And it took me a couple years to actually start owning up to it and start putting my foot down. But I'll tell you one thing, that when I started putting my foot down and telling people, like, hey, this is me, this is what I come along with, this is what I'm about, that's when my life started to turn around. And when I mean turn around, I'm talking about financially. Who in here likes money? Money's cool, right? All right. Who in here doesn't want to be broke all your life? There you go. You've probably seen people in church, they've been in church all their lives, but they have never really got to that next level financially. They never really turned the page on their financial checkbook. They never really got better financially. And I don't want to be one of those people. Some people come to church when they're 30 and they leave, whenever they pass, or they're there to like 50, 60, 70, and nothing really, their life doesn't show any fruit. And what I wanted to do, I told myself, I want to be the guy who can do it right and be a light and still be successful. Because you hear about all the moguls and the rappers, entertainers, they're millionaires, multimillionaires, but if you pull back the covers a little bit, they're not really doing the right thing. I don't want to be that guy. I want to do it right. I want to be a living testament to the younger kids, saying like, hey, I could be like Joseph Blackman and still make some money in this world. And I'll tell you a couple things. I bought my first rental property last year. It's a house in Antioch, and that wasn't an easy feat. And I'll tell you one thing, that when you're dealing with money, it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Buddhist, Hare Krishna, Catholic, whatever religion, the money is still going to find a good deal. So what I'm trying to say is, when you educate yourself, when you take your present self, when you start reading books, when you start hanging out with people smarter than you, when you start turning things down that are a waste of time, when you start cutting away your friends that are a waste of your time. Who has friends that are a waste of your time? Come on, we all have friends that they're just time sucks, their energy sucks. You got to get them out of your life. It's like trying to walk around with some monkeys on your back. I mean, they don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to progress at all, but they're your friends. And I was told at a young age that you're the average of your 5 closest friends. So everybody, think of your 5 closest friends. Think of your 5 closest friends. And then think about how much money they make. Okay, think about what kind of car they drive. Think about what kind of house they live in. Think what kind of outfits they wear. Think of what type of men they talk to, what type of women they talk to. That's probably where you're at as well, right? Wouldn't you kind of agree? So you're the average of your 5 closest friends, and what I'm saying is you might need to cut some of those friends off. You might need to tell some of those friends like, hey, man, we probably won't be hanging out that much anymore because I'm working on myself. And once you start working on yourself, that's when things start to change. You can go to church all you want. You can read all the scripture you want. But if you don't apply it to your life, if you don't apply it to your walk, then it's not going to turn over for you. One thing I've always learned growing up is that when you're a giver, you get. It's the law of reciprocity. It's like gravity. When I jump up, I know for sure I'm going to come down. It's gravity. So when you give, like tithes, offerings, just blessing somebody, you're going to get that in return. And it's not the return that if you gave somebody $20, you're going to get $20. It's God's return. He'll determine what your return is going to be. So when you give out $20 to your tithes, don't even worry about it. Just give it, boom. Okay, boom, that's God's. Like, let's go. Let's keep going through life. Boom, that's God's. If I get another paycheck, boom, that's God's. I'm not even worried about it. Because it's going to come back in God's time. I'll share a little bit more about myself financially. Okay, so 2 years ago, I worked for AT&T, right? I was doing cable installs, making $21 an hour. They used to give me a whole bunch of overtime, so I was making some decent money, right? I probably grossed over like around $38,000 a year. It's not that much. I was fresh out of college, got the job, made $38,000 a year. But I gave, on my tithe report, it was $7,000, a little bit over $7,000. So as you can see, that's not 10%. 7,000 is not 10% of 35,000. But what I'm trying to say is, the next year, guess how much I made? A lot more, right? Because I gave more. So the next year I did 38. The next year I did around 47, gross around 47, which was cool. And then that next year, I had given on my, because the church, they give us your giving report for the year so you can write off your taxes. The next year, I gave a little bit around $7,900. And that's still a little bit above 10%. But the present state I'm in now is I'm wearing this jacket right now. This is my business. I bought a business this year in January. It's a $250,000 business, and I'm going to do around $240,000 this year. And people say, "Oh man, how did you do that at such a young age?" Or like how did you do that? I'm like, dude, you got to give. You got to give. Like I'm gonna do $240,000 this year, and I talked to the accountant here, and I said, "How much? Like where's my giving at?" Because I care about it. I'm like, dude, where's my giving at? I want to know how much I'm giving. And she said, "You're around $10,600." So I'm like, okay, I gotta step it up a little bit more. And the thing is that I'm not even worried about the money I give away. The 10-6, I'll see that. That's going to come back. Whether it's a new deal coming down the pipeline, whether it's somebody I meet and they want to partner up on a business deal, or whether it's just straight cash coming to my bank account, that's going to come back. I'm not worried about that. When you give, when you work on yourself, it pays off. Trust me. You probably hear preachers all the time saying, I'm trying to get money to you and not from you. It's true. The preachers don't really need your money. The preachers get, and I'm a son of a pastor, so I can speak on it. The preacher gets his money off of his giving, off of what he gives. So it doesn't matter how much you give or how much you don't give, or if you want to be a tightwad, or if you want to bless a whole bunch. His return is coming off of what he gives. It's a God thing. It's not man-made. You can't even put your brain around it. And I see, like, when I was growing up, we had this old beat-up truck, and we used to drive around everywhere, and people used to laugh at us. Like, I went to a private school in Concord, and I was even ashamed of riding in the old beat-up truck because everybody else was riding in Benzes and Beamers and stuff. They were getting dropped off at school, and I'm like, we gotta ride in the truck. It's three of us. We're all grown, pretty much grown, riding in the front of the thing, and then we're kind of ashamed about it. But I didn't really know his journey, where he came from, where he was going to. So now I can kind of understand it. I'm like, okay, so he was stacking his bread so he can get to a better position nowadays. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. But at the time, I was kind of ashamed of it. Just being young. But I didn't know what work he was putting into it, how much money he was giving, how much time he was putting into himself, his walk with Christ. And it's a return on it. The city put us through hell trying to get this building up. I mean, it's up. That deserves a praise break, because I remember coming back from college seeing all he was going through. I mean, the city would say, okay, you spent X amount of dollars, but you can't build. And I'm asking him, like, what are we going to do? He's like, man, we still going to build. I'm like, I didn't have the faith that he had, but he was like, man, we still going to get it done. I'm like, well, let's get it done then, man. You got what it takes, let's do it. And he got it done. So really what I'm trying to submit here is just three things. If I said a little bit, but I said a lot. If you could take these three things from what I'm saying, is watch who you hang out with. Watch who you spend your time with. You can never, ever, ever, ever get time back, ever. But you can always get some money back, always. Don't really worry about what you spend your money on. You'll figure that out. But watch who you spend your time with, or what you spend your time on. Another thing, give. Be a giver. Your current financial status is based off of what you've already given. If you don't have any money, it's probably because you haven't given any money. If you don't have cool clothes, or if you don't have the purchasing power to buy anything, it's because you haven't added enough value to the world, to the economy yet. So once you get that figured out, it'll start to flow. I'm in a space now to where, I create my own schedule. I create my own life. I own my own business. I got 2 employees. I don't really have to be in the business for it to run itself. I can hang out with you guys all day. I could go do whatever I want because I put in the work. And it's still not over with. It's still a struggle. It's still a battle. But watch who you hang out with and give. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Give it up for Joseph Blackman. Thank you.